While people up and down the country are worried about marathons this morning, we're all about sprints here at Silverstone for the second race in the 2025 GB3 Championship. And what a race we were treated to yesterday. The first time we saw these brand new GB3 cars out on track, and it was an absolutely dominant performance from young Brit Freddie Slater, winning the first race of the season by over 6.5 seconds. A seriously impressive performance for him. It's only his second time he's raced in the GB3 Championship after making a kind of wild card appearance last year at Donington Park. As you can see, the sun's out, it's shining brightly here at Silverstone. I'm John Jackson, joined as ever by former British F3 driver Piers Pryor, and that really was an exceptional performance from Freddie Slater, given it's a brand new car and a championship he's only made one appearance in before.
Yeah, we've not seen dominance like that for a very long time, and it's very close for the rest of the order as well, so he's just on his own out of the front. I think, judging by qualifying times, we could be seeing the same thing again today, but the start is going to be critical because it'd be interesting to see if he doesn't lead into turn one, what he'll be able to do.
Yeah, well, look, he's already won one race this weekend. He starts on pole for this upcoming race now. Let's see how it all went down yesterday, the first race of the season in the GB3 Championship here at Silverstone.
So highlights then from the opening round of the 2025 season of the GB3 Championship. Deegan Fairclough already missing from the grid and starting this race from the pit lane. It was a good start though from Freddie Slater from pole position to lead down into the first corner. It was a big move though from Noah Lyle from third position to make his move straight around the outside and into second position. He was attacking for the race lead though, going down to the Maggots, Beckers and Chapel, but Freddie Slater was able to hold firm and hold on to the race lead. Abby Pulling with a big moment going through the opening S's section would drop back into fifth position after qualifying in fourth. Plenty of moves through the middle of the field, with Alazari being pushed out wide by Dion Gouda as they would work their way through. Kanato Lee trying to find his way through in the hill speed car would have a little bit of contact with Gouda and lose a little bit of the front nose cone. As we were working our way through the race, it was Deegan Fairclough making some moves throughout the field. After starting from the pit lane, he was up to 17th position with this move on Jack Sherwood. Was trying to attack the rear end of Hugo Schwarzer, but was struggling to get too close to the rear end of that VRD racing car. It was a dominant performance though for Freddie Slater, who was running away at the front of the field. A comfortable drive from pole position to win the opening race of the season by 7 seconds. It was an incredible performance from the hill speed driver, and he was very comfortable indeed. It was Freddie Slater ahead of Noah Lyle and then Gianmarco Prado in third.
Yeah, an exceptionally dominant performance there from Freddie Slater. We saw some great racing as well, no huge incidents in that race. And as you say, starting on pole position again, I mean, if he gets into that first corner, we could see a repeat.
I think it's likely we could see a repeat, but I'm quite enjoying the fact that other than Freddie at the front of the field, it's actually very close. We saw a good battle between Noah Lyle and all three of the Rodin cars, Rodin cars inside the top 5, so they're actually one of the strongest teams if you ignore the driver out front. But Noah Lyle for JHR as well. We've seen JHR up there the last couple of years, back again. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season as it plays out.
Yeah, Noah Lyle, of course, starting second again today. So it's going to be fantastic to see what happens there. We'll be over to the assembly area very soon. But, of course, we have returning drivers. Freddie Slater, technically a returning driver. Loads of others that we've seen over the last couple of years or so. And loads of new drivers as well. And I believe you caught up with the Spanish driver, Lucas Flucher.
Lucas, your first race in the GB3 Championship. Tell us about it. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, obviously it's quite nice to race at Silverstone, such a legendary track. And in a new car, which is also nice. I mean, the race wasn't as exciting as I hoped, but still was very fun. And yeah, looking forward to tomorrow's races, and let's see what we can do.
First race, you know, was your pace where you expected it to be? Were you hoping to be higher?
I mean, I expected to be a bit higher. Obviously, qualifying, we didn't get the results we wanted. We had a red flag for the quali 2, but quali 1 didn't, like, I didn't give what we didn't show what we could have had. But yeah, I think we could have been higher, and I'll fight for that tomorrow.
Of course, it's a new car, but you're a new driver to the championship and with a new team to GB3 with Argenti, with Prema. How are you guys gelling and working together so far this season?
Yeah, everything's new for me, the car, the tires, the team, but the team has been very helpful since the very start. And together, me with the team, with Matt, Nick, Liam, we've all been working together to make the cars as suitable for me as possible. And I think they're achieving that, but we still have a bit to go.
What do you reckon you can achieve from the rest of the weekend?
I'll do my very best. Hopefully we can, tomorrow I start around 15th, I think. So hopefully some top 10 finishes, and it would be nice to finish the weekend off with some points.
Luca, thank you very much. We'll catch up with you later on.
Thank you.
Great to see Lucas, and obviously he'll be getting more and more used to this GB3 car, as all the drivers will be, the brand new car for 2025. We'll take a look at that in more detail in a second. But one of the returning drivers that we've seen before in the GB4 Championship is Jack Sherwood, and he's with Excel Motorsports, one of the new teams on the grid.
Jack, welcome back to the paddock. Bit of a step up though from when we last saw you a few years ago in GB4.
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit of a different car now, a bit quicker, but enjoying the challenge for sure. Yeah. I think it's nice to be back in this paddock. You know, I know a lot of people, a lot of familiar faces. So to be back here is definitely cool, and hopefully go as well as we went in GB4.
Absolutely, but let's talk about on circuit now. You've joined the championship with the new car. You're with the new team, XL Motorsport. Talk to us about how you've been finding it so far.
Yeah, I think you know, I know a lot of the team from XL, so it was kind of a no-brainer going there for me over the off-season. Struggled a bit so far getting up to speed. I think you know, there's a lot of work for me to do. The car's been pretty decent throughout testing, you know, in the hands of Pat and Dion at times. So, you know, it's just up to me now to extract it. And I think we're getting there slowly but surely. So, yeah, keeping my head down and focusing on getting the best results.
Talk to us a little bit in more detail, if you can, about what you've been working on. So a lot of people at home never driven a GB3 car.
Yeah, I think you know, it's the first category I've driven with a lot of aero, and you know, with that comes a lot of challenges. There's a lot of stuff you can do to manipulate your driving to suit an aero car, and you know, it's just kind of dialing into that and understanding ultimately the quicker you go and the smoother you are, the more grip you'll get, which is sometimes a bit backwards for a lot of people. So yeah, I think just getting used to the aero at the moment is the biggest thing for me, and I think once we get on top of that, we'll be right at the front.
We've had our first day of racing here in the GB3 Championship at Silverstone. How have you found the racing so far as well?
Yeah, it was good. It was interesting. The first few laps were definitely a bit spicy, as always. And then, yeah, everyone settled down into a bit of a rhythm, and it was a bit more of a strategic race. You know, there was a bit of tired Deg, so managing that became a bit of a factor. And you know, if you got that right, you're able to move up a couple of positions. So yeah, I think it's a lot more kind of in a way a lot more like a Formula 3 race, an FIA Formula 3 race in a way. You know, you got to manage tyre a bit more and be a bit smarter about it, which I think is good, you know, considering this is the step to that or FT. So yeah,
good development for the future. Jack, thanks for catching up with us. We'll keep an eye on your progress throughout the year.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
One of the returning drivers to the GB3 Championship, Jack Sherwood. He tested last year, racing full-time this year with Excel Motorsports. Good to see Jack on the grid. He'll be starting 18th in this upcoming race. And Reza Seawuthan will be starting just ahead of him in 17th, another new driver on the grid. And Piers caught up with him to see how he's getting on with the brand new GB3 car.
Probably been a lot to get used to moving up from F4.
Yeah, it's a very different car, a very different style of driving and racing, to be fair, especially with the new DRS. Yeah, I'm loving it. It's more fun to drive, and the racing's a bit better as well, so I'm enjoying it.
It's your first experience of DRS, I'm sure, as well. How did you find that on circuit?
It's great when you're against just one person, but when there's 3 or 4 of you, you just sort of stay behind each other. There's not much you can do, and even the game when you're behind one person isn't huge, but it can make a difference.
And also, you're new to the championship, but so is your team, and it's a new car. How has it been gelling with the team and getting used to everything behind the scenes?
Yeah, there's a lot of people from everywhere in our team. There's people from abroad, people who've been in the UK for ages, but people who've been in different teams, and now everyone's sort of come together. So I think we're all getting along. Everyone's working together. Everyone's working hard, and yeah, it's going well.
Well, what do you expect to get from the rest of the weekend, and what are your hopes for the rest of the year?
I think from this weekend, we just got to take what we can. Qualifying didn't go to plan. We were quite far off. It just wasn't a great quality session from me on my behalf. But yeah, towards the end of this weekend, just hope to get into the points, just make as many places as we can, learn as much as we can, because we might not have this opportunity later on in the season. We might be further ahead. So yeah, for this weekend, we just need to focus on what we can, and throughout the rest of the championship, just keep moving forward and try and win.
Reza, thank you very much for catching up with us. We'll see how you get on.
No worries, thank you, Raj.
Looking forward to seeing what Reza can do from 17th in this race. Can you do much from 17th down there? It's a little bit far back, but I guess these drivers are all getting used to this new car, and there's a lot of variables.
There's a lot of variables. I think we're going to see the order shuffle throughout the season in terms of drivers and the teams, as different teams and drivers get used to this new car and exploit the most out of it. I expect to see the likes of Argenti with Prema and and Reza specifically move up the field either in this race or at least in the next round. So we know he's got good pedigree from his previous racing campaigns.
Well, wherever you're watching this, of course, you can share it with your friends. You can also leave comments on there as well. Feel free to drop questions in there. I'm sure Piers and Lewis will answer any questions that you drop in there on commentary. We've already had a question in actually from Yasmin. Wanted to know about the tyres on these new GB3 cars. Are they the same as the last year's GB3 car? And they're not, are they?
No, they're 2 inches wider, both front and rear, and the rear tyres especially look pretty chunky this year. Of course, we've got 35% more downforce, 30 more horsepower, a bit more weight, so therefore we need more mechanical grip as well. And it's a new tyre produced by Pirelli, so therefore they need to get used to it and make sure that they're getting the most out of it. And that's been a lot of the chat ahead of this first race weekend, is getting the most out of the tyre, both in qualifying and throughout the races.
And of course, huge safety improvements as well. Let's take a look at the brand new GB3 car.
The GB3 Championship introduces a new car to the series for 2025, the Tata's MSV GB3025. The new machine is a serious upgrade in the previous generation, with more downforce, greater power and innovations not previously seen at this level of motorsport. Key safety upgrades are also included, like the titanium halo, new front and rear crash structures, revised anti-intrusion panels and improved head and leg protection, meaning the car meets the latest FIA standards. Equipped with an F1-inspired aerodynamics package, adding 35% more downforce at the same drag level compared to the outgoing car, with new bespoke front and rear wing assemblies, powerful underbody aerodynamics and CFD-optimised aero surfaces. The most notable addition is the inclusion of the rear wing drag reduction system for the first time in GB3. The naturally aspirated 2-litre 4-cylinder mounted engine has received a 30 horsepower boost up to 280 horsepower, while additional grip is produced by the Pirelli tyres, which are now 2 inches wider all round. And that's the new car for GB3 in 2025.
A beautiful car, nice bit of kit.
Lovely.
Some of the things I've seen online have been very positive about this car. People saying it looks sexy. I've seen the word attractive as well. Anything you'd like to add?
Fast.
Fast, okay. Could tell you're a racing driver. Anyway, look, we've got a big fanfare of the drivers being announced this year. We have a record equaling grid. We also have 2 drivers that you may have seen last year in F1 Academy. We've got the reigning champion, Abby Pulling, who did very well yesterday, came 5th for Rodin. We also have Bianca Bustamante, who was racing with Elite Motorsports. Had a bit of trouble yesterday. You saw her car being repaired and it didn't look good and she didn't actually make the grid.
No, unfortunately yesterday, due to, I think it was a crash right at the end of qualifying, and with these cars being new and the team still having to get used to it and making sure everything's right before they go out on circuit, she didn't get out, but looks like she's back again today, which is great to see.
Absolutely it is. And Piers caught up with Bianca ahead of yesterday when she thought she'd be racing in the first race, but unfortunately that didn't come to fruition, but she will be racing in the next few minutes.
Bianca, firstly, great to have you in the championship. How are you finding it so far?
Yeah, first race of the season approaching us quite literally in a few hours. So by the time you're watching this, it might already be the first race. It's been a lot of build-up coming into this round, a lot of testing, and obviously the excitement of driving a brand new car, the new GB3 MSV car this season. Has been a roller coaster journey trying to figure out the car, learn it. The new aerodynamics, obviously the new components of DRS, more ground effect, and the new wing, and basically the whole new car. It's been a thrilling experience.
Of course, you've got some single-seater experience. A lot of people have seen you in things like F1 Academy, but this is a big step up, I'm sure.
It's huge. It's a lot quicker. I can't put a number to it, but it has been an intense journey, just trying to make sure that physically I am fit driving the car, as it is very physical. It's a lot quicker. We're probably 20 miles per hour quicker down the straights compared to the F1 Academy car, and obviously a lot more downforce. That means a lot more G-force going through the corners, which makes it, for someone of my stature, very physical.
Let's touch on that a little bit, because I know you've been working a lot behind the scenes to get yourself physically ready. How much of a step up in terms of physicality is it, and what are you working on?
I mean, because there is a lot more ground effect, you know, the floor, there's diffuser, there's the wing, and so everything, the aerodynamics of it is, you know, it's tenfolds. So that means that you have the ability to corner a lot quicker, a lot more speed, a lot more minimum. So that also means that you'd have to withstand a lot more lateral G, acceleration, deceleration, and obviously change of directions, all that stuff. So to be able to maximize the car, you'd have to be physically fit for it, which hasn't been easy. I've had to gain close to 7 kgs of muscle over winter just to make sure I can, do a race run, because it is very physical, especially at a track like Silverstone where it's quite a high downforce circuit. Like going through Copse is flat for us, Maggots and Beckett's it's flat until you get to like Chapel, and then you have to brake a little bit, so that's like a lot quicker. I mean, like I was talking to some of my friends racing in the British GT Championship. The GT3 cars are doing a lap time of like 1:55, 56, and I think qualifying we hit like 1:52, so we're like 3 seconds quicker or something. So yeah, a lot more G-force everywhere.
I can see the smile on your face. Clearly you're enjoying driving the car. Very quickly, of course, very early stages. We haven't even done a race yet. You've joined Elite Motorsport this year and you're joining the championship as a whole. What are your hopes for the season?
I mean, for me, it's my first year driving these cars. It's my first year stepping up as well, outside of F1 Academy, as a graduate of McLaren, obviously, and F1 Academy. Competed again with the mixed grid with the boys and the girls, so I think that'll be very different. I'm looking forward to a challenge, of course, and I think for me it's just to learn, to maximize. The goal for me is to do multiple years in this category, to keep growing. The progression is never linear, but it has been a journey, and I'm very grateful to even have this opportunity to still be racing. Is for me a win already. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for that.
Amazing. Bianca, thank you very much for chatting to us, and we'll see how you get on this weekend.
Thank you so much.
After all that preparation and all that testing and all the announcements and all the physical strength work actually Bianca's been doing, it would be really heartbreaking to miss the first race, wouldn't it? Let's just walk and talk and see if we can get to Bianca's car here. Number 16, we can just see it on the right-hand side here. It's been pieced together and it's ready to go, so that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. The car looks turned out very well. I like the new Elite livery, and they've worked hard to get it working overnight, and clearly she's ready to go. It'll be interesting to see how she gets on. Of course, a big step up this year for her. We heard from the interview we just had, both physically and of course mentally as well, with the cars dealing with the extra speed. But she's got a lot of followers online who I'm sure are watching at home now. But great to see her on the grid.
Yeah, she's got over 1 million followers, which is over 1 million followers more than me and you put together, I think.
Yes,
if you look at it that way. We've also got, if we can come down and see if we can go this far, we also have Deegan Fairclough, and we can see here the number 7 car starting at the back. Can you just explain why he's starting at the back, Piers?
Yeah, unfortunately overnight there's been a technical directive that they've been demoted, unfortunately, to the back of the grid to allow him to race. I think there was a change of components of such that meant that he wasn't able to take his original grid slot. He didn't qualify that high up the field anyway, not as high as some were expecting, but we'll be looking forward to seeing Deegan make his way through the field, as he actually made some great moves in yesterday's race as well.
Yeah, obviously a driver that's hugely fancied, did incredibly well last year in the championship he was racing in, breaking all kinds of records, winning loads of races and storming that championship, so it's going to be really sort of frustrating for him to be down at the back, but I'm looking forward to seeing how many places he can make up. We are expecting him to make up some places, certainly knowing what he can do. Let's move our way back then. We've got Divi Nandan here, who we spoke to after the race yesterday, obviously just having last minute conversation there with his race engineer. It's one of those things, isn't it? The last few minutes, drivers always like different things, don't they? Some like to be left alone and some like to have conversation.
He was actually just resetting his mirror as well. It looked like they're just doing the mirror adjustments. These mirrors on GB3 cars are also in all single-seaters. Not particularly big, and you have to adjust them manually. There's no electronic mirror adjustments, but getting them at the right angle is crucial to know where the cars are around you.
Okay, well, let's just move slightly forward here. We're going to take a look at the Silverstone track in just a second. I really like this car. I mean, this doesn't look like the rest of the team, does it?
No, Stefan Bosangiev, he joined at the GB4 Championship last time out at Donington Park, made the step up to GB3 this weekend with Fortec. He's got a very distinctive livery. Fortec usually with the white and red, but this weekend with Stefan, he's got his own sponsors liveries. Yes, Bulgarian inspired livery. It was great to see. He's not quite got to grips with the GB3 cars, stepping up from GB4 yet, but I'm sure we'll see him move up because he's had a lot of success in sports car racing and Lamborghinis.
Absolutely. Let's take a look then at Silverstone as we remind ourselves of where we're racing today.
And so it's the home of British motorsport then that opens the GB3 Championship for 2025, the iconic circuit with iconic corners as well. Maggots, Beckers and Chapel, of course, Copse, the run into Stowe. You've got the Abbey Village Loop section as well, and then round towards Brooklands. Of course, new for 2025 is those 2 DRS activation points, one on the Hanger Straight and one on the Wellington Straight as well. Round Luffield and out through Woodcote onto the start-finish straight, which of course is on the national side. 18 turns around here, of which plenty are great for overtaking, most notably that Village Loop section. Those TDRS zones though, they're going to be very, very big when it comes to overtaking around this 3.6 mile, 5.8 kilometre circuit to open the season.
Let's ride on board the brand new car for 2025, the MSV GB3 025 car with XL Motorsport's Dion Gouda. 35% more downforce than we had last year allows us to go easily flat through Copse Corner. Towards Maggots and Beckett's now. Once again, completely flat through Maggots and just a slight lift through Beckett's Corner, opening up the entry of Chapel. Down one more gear, use all the curb at the apex and then the curb on the exit. We head into our first DRS zone, new for 2025 as well. DRS will be wide open in qualifying and if you're within a second of the car ahead in the races to improve overtaking down towards Stowe. All of the road on the left-hand side, off camber through the apex. Easy to run wide on the exit here. Dion does just about stay within track limits. We go down to Vale now, braking hard. 3 gears down, second gear through the apex. Keep it left to open up the first apex of Club, trying to keep it flat out if possible. We now head through onto the Hamilton Straight, flat out through here past the hotel and the wing. The next corner is Abbey, a bit of curb on the left to open up the entry, and we grab 6th gear at the apex, completely flat out once again as we bring ourselves to the left for the entry of Village. Braking and turning, an overtaking opportunity in the race and tricky to get right in qualifying. Back to the right-hand side for the loop. Using all of the extra grip we've got from the wider Pirelli tyres to get the power down on the exit here. Flat out once again through Aintree onto the second DRS zone here at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Another overtaking opportunity going in towards Brooklands. All the curb on the right-hand side to open up the entry of Brooklands. Braking and turning, the steering gets very heavy here. That's when the driver's training in the pre-season comes into play. The last corner of Luffield, trying to make it back for the second apex. Doesn't quite do it on this lap, but that won't hurt his lap time. And we head through Woodcote for a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the new, faster and improved GB3 car.
So that's Silverstone. We're now looking at the car of Kanato Lee, the Japanese driver who we saw last year at Spa. We can see one of his mechanics there just adjusting the front wing, and actually there was a question that came in earlier from Izzy who wanted to know how adjustable are the front wings on these cars?
So there's the main plane of the front wing that goes all the way across the front. That can be adjusted in terms of height, but generally the teams run it as low as possible because that's most aerodynamically efficient. But then also the flaps on either side of the front wing, where you can see the bolts going through there, they can be adjusted up and down between races, not by the drivers during the race. Basically, the higher up the flap goes, the more front downforce, but the more drag. And you'll be balancing that front wing angle with the rear wing angle as well, because if you have too much front and not enough rear, you'll have oversteer where the rear is sliding around, and the opposite is true. But also that is in conjunction with the setup of the whole car, so ride height can also affect the balance of the car. There's lots of things on these GB3 cars the teams are working with the drivers to optimise.
And obviously when you look at Formula One, they've got incredible amounts of dials there. They can change things during the race. What is adjustable during the race? Is there anything that they can make changes to?
Just brake bias, actually. Driving and brake bias. And brake bias is the percentage of braking that goes to the front wheels compared to the rear wheels. Generally in cars like this, single seats, you run about 56-57% frontward bias, because when you brake, the weight goes on the front wheels, so you want to use that extra grip. But the drivers can dial that in by about 1/4 to 0.5% with a dial on their steering wheel or on their cockpit, which can adjust it forward and backwards. So if your car's understeering into a corner, you can wind it back to get a bit more rotation, and the opposite is true. If you're understeering into a corner, if you're oversteering into a corner, you can wind it forward. So just dial the balance in, and it's also a tool to look after the tyres as well.
Excellent stuff. Well, obviously Kanato Lee's teammate at Hillspeed, Freddie Slater, starts at the front of the grid. Obviously sharing data from Freddie Slater. Kanato Lee's in a great place with Freddie putting in some amazing lap times. Let's spin round then. He starts 13th, by the way. And we can see the beautiful pink car. I mean, very recognisable with the BWT sponsorship that we've seen across the Alpine cars in Formula One over the last few years. Keanu Al-Azari. I mean, another driver that's brand new to this championship. And I mean, I don't know, is it a good thing to have a car that's so striking out there? Because obviously if you make a mistake, it's very visible.
Yeah, but it's always good to get attention, of course. These young drivers are trying to get the attention of sponsors like BWT, but also Formula One teams. We've seen, Alpine have been sponsored by BWT in the past, and maybe we'll see, who knows, Keanu part of that program as he moves up the grid. But yeah, great to have such cool liveries on the grid. It's also easier for us in the commentary box because it separates him from his teammates at High-Tech TGR.
I'm going to be honest, Piers, we're standing behind Dion Gauda's car here, and I cannot hear a word you said there, but I'm sure it was brilliant insight. We're just making our way up now. We've got Patrick Herzenreuter here, who we've seen do amazing things, an incredibly consistent performer towards the end of last season, wasn't he? He was putting in some great results, and we're expecting some big things of the Australian this year.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely took a step forward second half of last year. Lots of top tens. Only one podium last year, 12th in the standings, but he had a really good winter racing out in the Castrol Toyota Racing Formula Regional Oceania Championship, CT Frog. Came, I think it was 4th or 3rd in that championship. It was 4th in that championship. So a good pre-season preparation with the new team of Excel. He's looked pretty quick in testing as well, so keep an eye on him for this year.
Excellent stuff, boys. You can see the cars are going out behind us. So for the second time this weekend in the GB3 Championship, let's go racing.
So race number 2 of the season is set, sorted and ready to go. Hello everyone, welcome back to GB3 action. It is race number 2 and it's going to be a fantastic one. After the epic race yesterday that saw Freddie Slater winning by 7 seconds ahead of Noah Lyle and Gianmarco Prado, we are ready to go once more. Let's take a very quick look at the Silverstone circuit. Of course, Stowe, that first corner they'll be dealing with before they head through the DRS detection point and out through Maggots, Beckers and Chapel down the first of the DRS activation points. Then they go through Stowe and then back out onto the Hamilton Straight. Of course, the Village Loop section, which is where we saw all the overtaking yesterday, most notably from Deegan Fairclough, who'll be starting from the rear of the field. Brooklands, Lovefield, Woodcote, and then out onto the start finish straight across the 18 turns of the Silverstone circuit. Those 2 DRS zones will be critical, at least for keeping up and maybe trying to make those moves. Of course, around this 3.6 mile circuit. It was an excellent drive from Freddie Slater yesterday, absolutely dominant, and he'll be starting from pole position once again. Dominated both of the qualifying sessions. Of course, new for 2025 is 2 qualifying sessions, one to set the grid for race 1, that of course is the first of the qualifying sessions, and then one to set the grid for this one. That's the second of the qualifying sessions. We're expecting to see the race orders be slightly more different based on last year, where it was effectively your first fastest time and your second fastest time sorting out the 2 grids. So we're expecting a little bit more of a difference. However, the pole sitter is exactly the same. It is Freddie Slater once more for Hillspeed, who took Hillspeed's first victory in over a year. Of course, the previous victory for the Hillspeed team was Gerard Shee's victory back in Donington Park in 2023 to end the season. Let's take a look then at the starting grid for the second race of the season. It's Freddie Slater starting alongside Alex Ninovic, of course, in second place. Behind that, it's Noah Lyle and Gianmarco Prado. Of course, these are the 2 that finished on the podium yesterday behind Freddie Slater. And then on row number 3, it's Nikita Johnson for the High-Tech TGR team, just ahead of Abby Pulling, who finished just inside the top 5. Then we've got Patrick Herzenreuter starting from 7th position with Kai Darianani starting on the in the 8th position. Obviously, will be on the right-hand side going down to turn 1. Dion Gauda and Will McIntyre at the back end of the top 10. Keanu Alazari will be starting from 11th position with Hugh Yamakoshi starting from 12th. Behind that is Kanato Lee, who's got a slightly different front wing, just courtesy of no paint on it, but it'll be Lucas Fluscher starting from 14th position. It'll be Shui starting from 15th alongside Hugo Schwarzer in 16th position with still nearly 10 cars left to go. Sueden starting from 17th position, and then Jack Sherwood starting from 18th. Then of course it's Tarvanicol starting from 19th. Mika Abrahams at the back end of the top 20. With 5 cars left to go, it'll be Bianca Bustamante, who is out on the grid. Hopefully we'll be able to see her racing that elite car for the first time this season. Stefan Bostangiev starting from 22nd. The final full row of the grid sees Flynn Jacks and Divi Nandon. And of course, that final row of the grid, it'll be Deegan Fairclough dropped to the rear end.
Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. Lewis McGlade, Piers Pryor in the commentary booth with you. We're ready to go racing once more.
Yes, here we are. GB3 race 2. We saw yesterday, of course, it was at the front of the field. Slater romped away, but we had a good battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The Rodin cars involved with Noah Lyle, yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing how it goes again this in this second race of the weekend.
Certainly so. I mean, look, I'm expecting another dominant performance from Freddie Slater. He looked so comfortable yesterday. And when we were talking about tyres, and a lot of people were like, wait, what are you talking about tyres for already? Obviously, they only get 2 sets over the weekend. But the important thing from Freddie Slater, for one, we think they're running probably on the 2nd set of tyres, so they're not running the same set of tyres from yesterday. The thing that I noted from Freddie Slater was that he was quick at the start of the race, obviously. He was a half a second faster basically every single lap. That gap kept up from the first lap of the race all the way until the end. He was half a second faster every single lap. That did not let up. He was still basically setting PBs late on.
That was probably the most impressive thing with Slater's drive yesterday is sometimes you see drivers who can extract a good lap on the new tyres, they bring it in really well, and they can get the best on that first warm lap of the Pirelli tyres or other tyres in other series, but then they can't carry that into the race, whereas it looked like a genuine 4 to 5 tenths a lap advantage that Slater had, and he was able to do it consistently. His lap times were basically going half a tenth quicker lap on lap, which showed how much in tune he is with the car. And when we spoke to Freddie after qualifying, he said it's really dialed in. The Hill Speed team have done a great job with that, and it's great to see Hill Speed at the front of the field as well. They're the one that are giving Freddie the car to challenge. Of course, he's the one driving it, but without Hill Speed, he wouldn't be able to win by such a margin. Looks like the last cars are just lining up at the back of the grid, and we're about to go racing once again. Lewis, perfect conditions out there for a GB3 race.
It's a beautiful day today. It's going to be a beautiful day both here in GB3 and in GB4. I'm absolutely sure for Deegan Fairclough, for Bianca Bustamante, it's technically their first race starts. Neither of them started on the grid yesterday. The lights are on then, and the second race of 2025 is racing. There is a staller in the background, one of the Elite Motorsports cars, and I think one of the XL cars further back. I think it's Jack Sherwood towards the rear end of the field with one of the Elites. It might be Will McIntyre who's had a bit of a stall. We'll talk about that in just a moment, because once again it's an excellent start from Freddie Slater. Look at the number 11 JHR Developments car of Noah Lyle though, straight up into second spot.
It's Noah Lyle doing exactly what he did yesterday, going around the outside of Copse Corner at turn 1 and taking second place. Great start from him as we see the BWT car there of Al-Azhari. He's getting involved. We saw he had made lots of good moves earlier in the race yesterday. No DRS on this first lap with nose to tail going down towards turn 1. That's the 8 looking up the inside there. That's oh no, it must be the 6 actually. The XL Motorsport. No, Pat Hoytzenroder, number 5. He's dropped a couple of spots off the start there. But the front of the field, once again, it is Slater that's taken the lead.
Yeah, look at this move, though. Got one of the Rodins going, going on the attack. They're trying to make the move. You got Abby Pulling going side by side, one of the XLs. They're going very slow here as they head their way back out. I think it might be the JHR Developments car just trying to get to the inside there. That is the number 88 of Kai Darianani, just trying to fend off Abby Pulling and basically the rest of the GB3 field.
Yes, it's very much nose to tail. We've got a safety car that must be for those cars that are stalled on the grid. With 2 of them, we don't want any cars going around there at full racing speed. Of course, sounds like one of them's just been able to pull away in the pit lane from outside our commentary box window. Don't know about the second. It looks like it is the Elite Motorsport cars, I think, of McIntyre and the 78 of Sherwood.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, hopefully that'll mean that we can actually work out who's where, because that was a pretty chaotic opening lap of the race. Freddie Slater definitely is our leader, and it is Noah Lyle who's worked his way up into second position. Everyone else was fighting out. It was a good start. I did notice as there is the 37 of Will McIntyre, so it was McIntyre was the other car. We're all right this. Nikita Johnson had actually made a decent amount of progress, so he was running in fit, or I think he was challenging for the podium positions with Gianmarco Prado. But then it was Kai Darianani, who was running at the back end of the top 10, that was causing quite a cluster as they were crossing the line. So the safety car is out, which means we'll get the updated order. So it's Slater from Lyle. There is Nikita Johnson, and so he's up into 3rd position. That is Jack Sherwood working his way up to the rear end of the train. 4th position will be Ninovic, then Pradl, then Darianani's gone up to 6th place on the start. Abby Pulling down to 7th, then Huizenrode. Alazari's gained a couple of positions on the race start. Dion Gauda losing out to the back end of the top 10. They were, to be fair, great driving for the fact that they didn't trip over each other.
Yeah, I was looking at them going into Vale Corner, and Alazari was looking at the inside of 2 cars. They actually did go 3 abreast going into Vale Corner, and Alazari took to the curb to avoid contact, and that was pretty much the only point at which anyone looked like anything was going to go wrong. It's been a very well-behaved first 2 race in GB3, which is really, I think, showing that the level of driving has gone up this year, as the safety car looks like it is coming in this lap from our looking at the timing screens. But yeah, Alazari, another strong start, up 2 positions this time. I think he made a couple of places on his start yesterday. Darianani up 2 places into 6th place. Based on pace on Thursday especially, but Friday as well, Darianani was one of the faster drivers on the grid, so he's able to potentially unleash some of that pace again. He'll be looking to move himself inside the top 5 positions. One thing that I think is worth noting, Lewis, is the fact that, that we've had 25 cars on the grid. We had no issues really yesterday, did we?
No. No
issues so far today. The only reason for the safety car is stalls on the grid.
The only contact yesterday, obviously there was the crash in qualifying, obviously we didn't see for Bianca Bustamante, but the only incident in the race was Kanato Lee getting into the rear end of Dion Gauda, and that was why, if you look, so you've got the hill speed coming through shot there, it's got a black nose on it rather than the typical red nose, and that's because they've not painted, because it's a new front wing for Kanato Lee's car. That was the only damage yesterday from any of the cars. Yeah, I think there was actually a touch between Pulling and the back of one of her teammates on lap 1 going through Maggots and Beckett's, but there was no lasting damage there. So that was, which is good, because otherwise we would have seen 2 Rodin teammates come together. And that wouldn't have been a good day for Rodin, but they did have a good day. Of course, 3 of their cars inside the top 5 positions yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah. But Slater's slowing up very, very aggressively here. He's going very slowly through Brooklands. He's going to look to try and get the jump on the rest of the field, and he's gone very early. Slowing down a lot has allowed him the opportunity to pull the trigger and accelerate slightly earlier than potentially Noah Lyle thought he may do, and he's got about a half second, maybe 7/10 gap already, and the rest of the field are pretty much nose to tail. We see the gaps as we come over the line, but Slater showing his experience with a good safety car restart there. Yeah, we'll see if Nikita Johnson in that silver high-tech car will go on the attack somewhere down Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Abby Pulling in the white and black Rodin with the pink highlights, trying to attack Darianani for 6th position. That was a little bit down into turn 1, and they're side by side. That is Abby Pulling straight to the outside, so the white and black car of Abby Pulling trying to go side by side as they head their way through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. They're also joined by Pat Huizenrode in that XL car, the white, purple and pink one, and then you've got the bright pink BWT car of Alizari in 9th. This is all the fight towards the, well, just outside of the top 5 basically, and it does seem as though Kai Darianani's been struggling for speed. Oh, big push from Abby Pulling just to try and squeeze Patrick Huizenrode in that number 5 white and blue car straight to the inside. Yeah, a reminder, no DRS to the lap after the safety car, so it's all strictly slipstream pass down there. It was Huizenrode looking to the inside, couldn't quite get the move done, took to the grass, no lasting damage as we see both of the hill speed cars further down the order going side by side. Lee on the inside of his teammate of Yamakoshi, doesn't quite get that move done on the exit of club. No, indeed. They were very close yesterday, was Yamakoshi and Kanato Lee. They were basically involved in the same battle around where they are now, to be honest, just about the rear end of the top 10, back end of the top 10. Big lock up then coming in from the number 12 Rodin of Ninovic, trying to get the position for the podium from that silver number 4 high-tech TGR car that belongs to Nikita Johnson. Yeah, Johnson just about fended it off. Ninovic looked up the inside into the village, and you really need to get alongside before the braking zone, or at least before the apex, but he looked like he was a bit optimistic. Lucky not to make contact there, but he'll live to fight another day. Small lock-up won't be great for his tyres, but it didn't look like it was sustained, so won't have any huge damage to that tyre. Catching the number 8 there, the Red Bull car, that's Enzo Tarvanical. Great to have a Red Bull livery car on the grid once again.
We saw that last year at points. We're back again. This time is with a VRD driver. He's a very successful karting campaign. The 2022 World Karting Champion was Tarvanical. Just getting to grips with these faster, higher downforce GB3 cars. I'm sure we'll see him further up the grid as the year goes on.
Yeah, trying to keep Grand Prix at bay at the moment. Just down the order is Tarvanical. That obviously we did have a Red Bull livery before in GB3's history. Suta Arao was the last one to run the Red Bull livery. So this is the battle between Yamakoshi and Kanato Lee. That was 12th position between those two hill speeds. You had the number 33 of Hugo Schwarzer, who did have a few really good rounds on debut last season, his first ever season in GB3, of course, for the Elite Motorsports team. Of course, 17 of the drivers, 17 of the 25 on this grid, these are their first races in GB3, which, I mean, look, they're showing plenty of experience. This is Dion Gowder in the number 25 XL car that was just trying to hang on for 10th position as Flusha was going on the attack in the Argenti by Prema.
Yeah, good to have so many new teams this year. We've talked about Excel, Argenti with Prema. They're a force to be reckoned with in other series, and I'm sure that they will be up the front end of the grid as the season goes on, especially with their driving roster that they have. We saw Dion Gowder had a pretty strong race yesterday. He snuck inside the top 10. We're cutting back to this battle for the top 5 positions. That's silver number 4. That's Nikita Johnson, returning driver. Last year he came. Well, of course he was with us last year. Second in the USF F4 in America. And he also did take a race win in Zandvoort. He'll be looking to have a strong season this year in his second full season in the championship. Further down the order, we've got fighting. That looks like one of the Argenti cars. That is that Gowder on the inside of Al-Azari, Lewis?
No, so it's Gowder defending from Flusha. So Flusha's going for the attack. Did see, I want your driver's opinion on this one, the number 88 there, Kai Darianani, DRS zone running down into Brooklands. A lot of weaving. Kind of reminded me of the 2010 Malaysian Grand Prix when Lewis Hamilton was doing that against, was it Vitaly Petrov?
It's a very niche reference there. I enjoy the F1 nerding out that you've got going on there, Lewis. Yeah, of course, generally when you're defending, one defensive manoeuvre is what's strictly allowed. I think they have a little bit of a wiggle room if the car behind isn't directly behind you, but the stewards don't tend to like too many moves across the circuit because it can be unpredictable for the drivers. But look at this train of cars all queuing up behind Darianani. Darianani's shown great racecraft this weekend. The 17 just going off the circuit of Dibi Nandan on the exit of Chapel, not helping his exit as he's now under pressure from Flynn Jacks.
Someone who's made a decent amount of progress at the start of the race. Once again, Deegan Fairclough started from 25th and last, already up to 18th position, although didn't make up any moves on the previous lap. He's about 2 seconds behind Shui at the moment in that fight for 17th position. Of course, he started from the pit lane yesterday and worked his way up to 17th position, so he's already gained effectively the amount of spots that he gained yesterday, because obviously, sure, he's 1 position behind his finishing position yesterday, but do remember Bianca Bustamante was not in the race yesterday, so we were 1 car short. Big defensive move coming in there from Al-Azari in that bright pink PWT car. That was for 9th position, trying to now keep Flusha at bay, who I believe has got through into 10th. Yeah, that's Fairclough. Yeah,
Fairclough on the back of Tarvanical now, closed up on him. Fairclough in the grey high-tech livery, Tarvanical in that Red Bull liveried VRD car. Defensive to the inside, and Tarvanical tries to go with the feint one side, attack to the other. Can't quite get that move done. It's Searuthan in front of them in the Argenti with Prema car with the blue car with the silver highlights. And Lewis, I can see that you are pointing at something on the screen.
Car number 88, Kai Darianani, is under investigation for excessive weaving. That would have been on the Wellington Straight coming down into Brooklands, the one that we were kind of talking about a little bit there. So car 88 running in 6th position, Kai Darianani has caught the attention of race control, and I'm sure they're not particularly pleased with what they've seen there. Deegan Fairclough, who we're looking at here, currently running in 18th position, like you said, behind Tarvanical, who lost out on the on the previous lap rather to the number 56 Argenti with Prema car that belongs to Shui. That was a little bit wide going through Chapel, and he did this yesterday. He got up to the back of Hugo Schwarzer and then couldn't find that final move.
Yeah, Fairclough potentially being very good at turning the tyres on and making them go into the operating window that makes them work best, but then maybe not being able to extract the final performance once everyone else's tyres are up to temperature. But we saw Fairclough, the F4 champion from last year in Britain. He tried to push hard through Maggots and Beckers and Chapel to get within DRS and use that to make a move on Tarvanacle. But you push a bit too hard in the dirty air, you get a little bit less front end grip, and he ran wide over the curb on the exit of Chapel, and that hurt his exit. We cut back to the battle at the front of the field. This is for third place. Johnson in the number 4 there, under pressure from Ninovic in the number 12 black and white car behind, and he's right under the rear wing as Ninovic. He's going to have to go around the outside, or is he? Johnson placing his car tactically in the road, and look right behind, that's Pradle as well. He's looking to pick up any pieces on this.
Yeah, trying to defend as hard as he can is Nikita Johnson. Is able to keep both those Rodins at bay, but you think there might be a bit of teamwork happening here between the 12 and the 21. Ninovic then looking to the outside, and the white and black is the white highlighted Rodin car. Of course, Pradle's there's got the green or the Dayglow yellow highlights, and Abby Pulling has the pink highlights on her Rodin car. There comes the outside look coming down to the cops. Another big squeeze coming in from Nikita Johnson, just squeezes him out onto the curb.
I think that was a little bit naughty there from Johnson, and Ninovic definitely had an overlap to the outside. He's okay to come back towards the racing line as long as he leaves at least a car's width, but Ninovic having to take to the grass there. If he does that again, I'm sure that we'll see a warning from the stewards to Nikita Johnson. It's it's the right thing to do, is to give your rival trying to overtake you as little space as possible, but you have to do it within the rules. And they'll both of those Rodin cars with the white flashes of the 12 of Ninovic and the 21 of Pradle have DRS now, but actually Pradle's made a move on his teammate, so Pradle is now the leading Rodin driver up into 4th place.
That was a nice tidy move, caught them all basically napping a little bit. They're still side by side between the Rodin teammates. No team orders, obviously, because you basically pay for your own seat. So team orders, unless we're talking about Teams Championship later on, they can be thrown straight into the bin. We're talking about round 2 of the Championship, so it's basically try and secure your part as top dog in the team, and that's what Pradle just did there, straight around the outside and making the move on Ninovic, confirming that into the Vale chicane. Of course, they're trying to get past Nikita Johnson, who does have more experience than the two drivers behind in the GB3 Championship. 2-time race winner in GB3 last season, but those were in the reverse grid races, both those victories, which does mean that for Nikita Johnson, he does understand how to win and defend and hold on to it. Although I think in both of those races, one of which being at Donington Park, the last race of 2024, it was a dominant victory, was able to pull away from that group. But either way, at the moment, Nikita Johnson is playing his cards right in his high-tech TGR car.
Yeah, the two Rodin cars behind fighting each other has given Johnson a bit of breathing room as we see the inter-hill speed battle continue, and that's Kanato Lee going up the inside of Yamakoshi and getting that move done at Brooklands. Kanato Lee's got the black nose cone on that car we mentioned earlier on. He is the number 19. The driver right behind him, the 66, is Yamakoshi. But this two fighting is going to bring into the battle the likes of Siwuthan.
Yeah, and Siwuthan's going to be basically looking for any opportunity as soon as the two cars focus too much on each other. Siwuthan's had a bit of a better run coming through Cops. He looks to the outside, heading to Magus, Beckers and Chapel. Siwuthan in the number 10, silver, blue and black. Argenti with Prema car that couldn't quite get alongside Yamakoshi in the red and black, but has to settle for behind. And now, to be fair, might have his eyes on the mirrors, because the group behind, they're not that far behind.
Just keeping half an eye on the timing screens, we've seen black and white warning flags for number 7, which is Fairclough, and 23 Bastangiev for track limits. They've basically used up all their jokers. They can't afford to go beyond the white lines on the curbs anymore, otherwise they will be looking at a penalty. I think those two both got warnings for exactly that yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, Lewis.
I believe so.
So yeah, they need to make sure they stay within track limits. Fairclough pushing hard to try and minimise any damage from his lowly grid position after the issues overnight. We're just cutting back to our leader. Let's check on Slater. He has the fast lap of the race by a good 0.5 of a second, has pulled the gap to 4.5 seconds, still is about half a second faster than pretty much anyone else. Dominant at the front of the field. Lyle has had a bit more of a calm race in second place, as he's got nearly 2 seconds on Johnson, as Johnson had to fend off the two Rodin drivers behind. And this is the battle we're now looking at between Pulling and Darianani for 6th and 7th, with Hoytzenroder close behind.
And the investigation for Darianani for excessive weaving, by the way, will be dealt with after the race. So just so you can note on that one, Pat Hoytzenroder was having a little bit of a look on the inside of Abby Pulling there. Just to touch very quickly on the number 23, Bostangiev, you were saying about, as there is the warning going out for the number 29, which is Mika Abrahams, who received a 5-second time penalty yesterday for track limit excursions, as did Bostangiev. Bostangiev also had 4 laps removed from qualifying for track limit excursions. So there are a few drivers that are struggling to keep it comfortably within track limits. Not that driver at the bottom of your screen though, Freddie Slater, continuing to dominate. The gap at the moment with 4 laps left to go is 5.4 seconds for Freddie Slater. Noah Lyle in second position with Nikita Johnson, then Gianmarco Prado, then it's Ninovic, then Daryanani, Pulling, Huizenrode, Flusha, Alazari, the top 10.
Yeah, Slater looking potentially even more dominant than he did yesterday, setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Green sectors or purple sectors pretty much all the way, so that hill speed car not only quick over 1 lap but also able to continually eke out the times as the fuel burns away, so fairly good on its tyres. Impressive run for Lyle actually, 3rd place start on both races, got into 2nd and hasn't really looked back. Yesterday we saw him soak up a lot of pressure from the road-in drivers of Ninovic and Pradl, but today he's got a bit of a gap as Johnson slipped into that 3rd place spot. I don't think that battle for 3rd is going to be completely over. I think we're going to see Pradl move on to the back of Johnson. There's still only 7 tenths between him, and also 6 tenths back is Ninovic, his teammate as well. We're looking at Alazari at the moment in the 6th, the high-tech TGR car with a BWT livery on there. He's holding off Gauda and Lee.
Yeah, certainly so. This is the final position inside the top 10. Of course, points roll in this race all the way down to the top 20, all scoring points in this one. But of course, every position means you gain some more points. So for those behind us, Dion Gauda trying to keep Kanato Lee at bay. Dion Gauda in the white, purple and pink car in that 25, and Kanato Lee in the hill speed, the red and black with the black nose on that car, courtesy of the front wing change after the previous race. That is the battle for 11th position between Gauda and Lee. Of course, Yamakoshi right off the rear end of it. 3 laps left to go. More warnings coming in for track limits. Car number 5, that is Pat Huizenrode, who's inside the top 10. And we also have the 56 also receiving a warning.
That's Shui down in 16th place. So warnings mean there's no effect on their race yet, but it means that they are basically, they've used up all their available jokers, so they can't do any track limits excursions anymore, otherwise they'll be looking at a penalty. Oh, and a jink to the inside. That would have been a late move from Pradl, but didn't quite get that move done. Johnson wise to it. We've seen Johnson's been resolute in defence so far, using pretty much up to the line and maybe slightly over it in my opinion on one of the moves, but he's an experienced driver, raced a lot this year, was in the CT Frock in Oceania, the Formula Regional Oceania Championship over the winter, so he's had a lot of racing experience this year already, as a lot of these drivers have done a lot of winter championships too, but he's using that experience to good use.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this. So obviously at the bottom of our screen you can see that 53.6 from Nikita Johnson, 53.3 for Gianmarco Prado. So Prado's going faster, but it's the gap for 2nd place for Noah Lyle. That's the one that's struggling. Noah Lyle's last lap time was a 54.1. So Noah Lyle is starting to struggle here a little bit in that JJ development car. Whoa! Big crash here as Alazari in the number 6. Dion Gauda down the inside, straight onto the top of him, and taking off the rear wing of Alazari's car. Dion Gauda mounted there. This, I am absolutely sure, will bring out the safety car and end the race.
Yeah, that's unfortunate contact. We only caught the 2nd half of that, but judging by the position of the cars there, looked like Gauda was having a look up the inside of Village Corner, which is, it kind of narrows down at the apex, very wide entry, but kind of funnels down. You have to get all the way alongside. I think I mentioned it earlier on in the race. If you go in too late, then contact can be inevitable because you're braking and turning, and unfortunately, wheel-to-wheel contact in a single-seater can often end up with one car going ever so slightly upwards. I don't think there's going to be any lasting, I'm hoping there shouldn't be any issue with the drivers in terms of physical injuries, because it was a fairly low-speed accident, but both of those drivers out of the race, and you know it will be a tough order for the teams to get those cars sorted.
Yeah,
thumbs up from both
both
drivers. They're both okay. That's great to see, but we might struggle to see potentially one or both of those cars out later on today, as it looks like actually Johnson is close onto the back of Lyle. Lyle's tyres going away at this late stage.
Yeah, he is starting to struggle, as Noah Lyle, as we were expecting. It's still green flags out there. Of course, there'll be double waved yellows once we get to the Village Loop section. Nikita Johnson in that silver car, having a bit of a lock up on the front right, but it's that grey and orange highlighted car of Noah Lyle, the JHR Developments car, that is struggling for speed at the moment. He needs to survive until he gets out of Abbey, because then there'll be the double waved yellows that'll hopefully hang on to his 2nd position. They'll have to go single file now, I'm sure, as they work their way through Abbey, and certainly so. There is the double waved yellow. No call of safety car yet from race control. They're trying to end the race race on double waved yellow. We only have 1 lap left to go after this.
Now, respect to the race control there to allow us to go racing for the final lap of the race, but unfortunately the safety car has literally been called on there. So yeah, double waved yellows has turned into a safety car. Nearly a move for second place. Good racing, close racing. Yes, commentator's curse. My bad.
No, we're not going there. I'm a staunch defender of the lack of commentator's curse. That was just how it is. It's
unfortunate
fine.
timing on my part.
Do you think race control are really listening, going, right, as soon as Piers says there's not going to be a safety car, and credit to them, we're pulling it out?
I must caveat that. I was impressed that at that point it looked like we weren't going to have a safety car. However, I think potentially on reflection it is the right decision, because those cars are not far off the racing line, still up in the air, and we don't want anyone getting anywhere near an injury if another incident, for example, happened there, or if there are marshals on the circuit retrieving those cars. We only lost 1 lap of racing. Been pretty clean so far, as we actually have a quick look at the Elite Motorsport car of Bustamante with something hanging off the rear. That looks like the rain light may have become detached. I don't know whether that's just fallen off or whether that's been removed by another vehicle.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways that rain light can fall off, of course. Like you say, another vehicle tapping the rear end. It could also be if you've run wide and bounced on a curb or something like that, you can just scrape it, it can just knock it off. Right, talk me through this.
Okay, so we're only catching the second half. It's lovely slow-mo. To be fair to Gowder, he did get wheel-to-wheel alongside, but from this angle we can't tell from how far he came back. And as soon as we had that wheel-to-wheel contact, sent Gowder up into the air, onto the side pod of Al-Azhari's car. Gowder in the car closest to us, the 25 XL Motorsport car, and unfortunately that looks like some pretty hefty damages as Gowder's car smears itself along the side of Al-Azhari's. That's going to be side pod, potentially radiated, definitely rear wing on Al-Azhari's car, and suspension probably as well. That's a big job for the teams.
And this is the thing, right? So now I'm not saying that car's not going to take part in the next race later on today. I think that we'll be fine, they'll be able to get it sorted, whatever. In the previous generation of car, I would have had no doubt, because all the mechanics are so well experienced with that car. They can work on it, they can sort it out, they can fix it and get it out there, back up to basically where it was in pretty much no time. I remember Callum Voisin had that big crash in 2022 right at the end of the season in qualifying, and they still got the car out for race 1. This is a brand new car. It is very complicated. There's obviously DRS to worry about on the rear wing, but there's just a lot. It's a brand new car for the mechanics to deal with. There's a lot of work for them to learn, understand, and fix.
It's twofold. It's, as you've mentioned, it's a new car, so these engineers and mechanics, they're not quite as grooved in terms of how things go together. They're still learning the cars, because they are brand new cars for this year. I think we only saw the first ones towards the end of 2024 and the start of 2025, and some of the teams, of course, are only receiving all of their cars fairly close to the season start, with it being brand new. But also it's the fact that it's a bigger car. It's a step forward. It is more complex. We've got systems like DRS. The rear wings, of course, are they're brand new as well. So we hope to see both of those cars back on the grid for this afternoon's race. The good news is we've got the Silverstone 3 hours basically GT race in between, so a bit more time than some of the other races. But still not an easy job for the teams. Unfortunate for those drivers, but luckily they are okay. That's the main thing. But no such dramas for this man, Freddie Slater at the front of the field.
Yeah, indeed. Not quite as exciting as yesterday when he crossed the line to take victory, but still, it will be a victory nonetheless. You'll never guess who the championship leader is at this point. Freddie Slater, 2 victories from 2 races. Looked very comfortable in that one. He'll have a bit more of a challenge in the afternoon's race when it comes to trying to battle his way up the order in the reverse grid. The top 12 will be reversed from their fastest qualifying times. So, Freddie Slater, victorious. Noah Lyle, second. Nikia Johnson, third place. Right, major shout out for him, because what that means is that is his first main race podium, if you want to count for it, because obviously he's had 2 podiums, both of those being victories, both of those being in the reverse grid. Yeah.
Interesting to see that our top 3 in the grid started 1, 3 and 5. So potentially that outside line down towards turn 1 proving good for a traction off the line. But it wasn't all done on the line. We saw Noah Lyle have to go around the outside of Cops, and Johnson made a couple of moves on the first lap. But interesting just to keep an eye on for later on in the day with race number 3, that partially reverse grid. Where was it? Yeah, Pulling still 7th. That's a strong result for her, following up with her good result yesterday as well. What are you looking at there, Lewis?
That's probably nothing major, but there is something dangling on the rear on the rear wing on the right-hand side of Freddie Slater's car. It's obviously not been a perfect race.
Let's see. It may well just be some tyre pickup. We'll keep an eye on that.
Oh, yes. Oh, that looks like a bit of tape, actually, a bit of helicopter tape.
So I'm picking up the drama, mate. I'm here for the drama.
Well, it looks like he's going to still get this one. On the timesheets, the stats will say it wasn't as dominant a victory as yesterday, but that's only because we finished over the line behind safety car. Noah Lyle getting within 7/10, but I think the lap before it was somewhere near 8 seconds. So another really, really strong performance from Freddie Slater.
I think you were right. You said earlier about it being basically even a more dominant race than it was yesterday. Before that, I only saw the gap after the safety car had just come out, so before they'd been caught up behind him, it was like 10 seconds or so. But I think he'd got the gap up to like 7 or 8 seconds, which was the same gap as yesterday. He looked stronger than yesterday.
Questioning in my mind, Lyle didn't quite have the pace he had yesterday. I'm questioning whether Lyle potentially used the same tyres he used in race 1, banking on the fact that he could maybe hold off the pack again so that he has better tyres for race 3. I don't think Freddie Slater's gone with that, based on his pace. I mean, if he has gone with that, then there's even more to worry about for the rest of the grid. But the fact that his pace was comparable to yesterday means that he's probably used the second set of tyres that he had on for the second part of the qualifying session. But maybe I'll do a bit of research and see if I can get a word. I reckon the team won't tell me, but I can put some feelers out and see if I get any intel.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm sure you'll get your information from the paddock. Freddie Slater, though, I mean, regardless of what it was a dominant victory. I do kind of agree. I think he might have been on the less used of those tyres, because of course they only get 2 sets over the weekend. They will have used 1 set in the first part of qualifying, and then they will use the second set in the second part of qualifying, and then obviously started the race on whichever one they feel like. And then from this race, they're kind of like the strategy starts to matter a little bit as to how you use those tyres. And with Noah Lyle's pace struggling towards the end of the race, I think those tyres will be thrown straight into the bin. And the fact that he qualified, rather finished the race in second place, it shows the skill of Noah Lyle. And if he's got some fresher tyres coming in for race 3, maybe we're going to work his way up the order and maybe challenge this driver here, Freddie Slater, who will be starting from 12th position in the next race, of course that one being the reverse grid. Could he win from there? If he does so, will become the first ever driver in GB3's history, at least definitely under the GB3 banner, to take 3 victories on a single weekend. Could that be up for offer today? I mean, based on his pace, on his consistency, on his dominance, and that Hellspeed car looking as good as it is, you'd have to say it's definitely not out of contention. His fastest lap of that race was a 52.8. The next fastest lap that I can see was a 53.367 from Gianmarco Pradl. So he was half a second faster basically every single lap, and at various points in the race was a second lap faster. In fact, compared to Noah Lyle's personal best, he was over a second faster than Noah Lyle's personal best. So yeah, read into that what you will, and the consistency he's able to put together in the race, and the fact that he can still hammer that home. Also, as much as it's probably not really a major thing, I know he's got a lot of experience. He nailed the safety car restart earlier on in the race. Of course, we had a safety car at the end of the first lap. It came in at the end of the second lap. And when that safety car came in, he nailed the restart, got it just right out of Brooklands, and I thought I was almost a little bit too early. Let's head down there to John Jackson, who's catching up with our podium.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Freddie Slater, 2 wins out of 2. At one point, you were 8 seconds ahead there before the safety car. Potentially even better than the first race yesterday.
Yeah, we made a slight improvement overnight, and I think that really paid off. I think we obviously, the wind's slightly different today, so the track's in different conditions. Very dirty out there, offline especially. I think some people dropped some oil in the race before in the Ginetta, so it was quite one line, so it was quite difficult. But no, overall really positive. Unfortunate about the safety car, obviously hopefully everybody's okay. And yeah, overall positive race.
Saw you checking out the other 2 cars there. I mean, after winning a race, the first thing you're thinking about is checking to see what everyone else is doing. Is that a tyre situation maybe?
Yeah, just looking how much people are using their tyres in the racing, seeing what it's like compared to mine, and seeing what happens in race 3, because we know reverse grid, which I'm looking forward to now. So yeah, should be good, and see what we've got.
You haven't actually had to do any overtaking yet in the GB3 Championship this year, so you're looking forward to that reverse grid race. What do you think is achievable?
Oh, I think get up as far as possible as I can. You know, anything can happen around here, and especially with the carnage at the front, I think with the reverse grid, it's going to be chaos. So lots of overtaking opportunities, I'm sure, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Well, congratulations, 100% record so far this season.
Thank you.
Here we go. Let's move round, and we'll speak to Noah Lyle. Congratulations, another podium for you. Did the tyres start to maybe go off a little bit there towards the end?
Yeah, I think the cars behind were fighting mid-race. We started to pull a good gap. I might have even broken DRS, I'm not too sure. But yeah, started struggling on the tyres, and as well we got a track limits warning. So I was just trying to manage everything and bring the car home.
Are you able to maybe give us some insight into the tyres? On commentary they were discussing whether maybe you were using the same tyres as yesterday.
No, definitely not. We changed the set, but I think on this set we took a little bit more out of them in quali. But yeah, no, we'll just put together whatever we've got left now for race 3 and try a clean one.
You must be looking forward to race 3 as well. Some good overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, it's always a bit of fun, like coming through the field. So yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Excellent stuff. Congratulations on another trophy.
Thanks very much.
There we go. No lie. Let's go speak to the Nikita Johnson for the first time as we walk past the legend. That is Mark Werrell. Nikita, first podium of the season for you. How did it go out there for you?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm happy with third place. It was a tough race. I had to defend most of it, and then I was also on the offense trying to get second. So it was a bit tricky handling them both because I think we had enough pace for second, but I had to go block and keep third for half the race. So it was pretty tricky. I mean, we'll go look at the video and data and see what I could have done better with that side-by-side racing, but I'm just happy we got good points, and we're just getting in the right direction.
You've jumped into quite a lot of cars this year already, and maybe in the last 12 months, an incredible amount of cars and raced incredibly well. How quickly have you managed to get to grips with this new GB3 car?
I think the first 2 days. It was a little bit different than last year, but it all feels the same, just a little bit more downforce and power.
Excellent stuff. Well, you've certainly got a decent result straight away, and we look forward to seeing you in the reverse grid race.
Thank you.
There we go, Nikita Johnson with High-Tech TGR, and those are the 3 in the top 3. And we'll go over to the podium now before we speak to some of the other drivers who finished that race.
Cheers, Jonas. And yes, indeed. It's really annoying to have someone as good as Freddie Slater and then say, yeah, we found a bit of an improvement in the car last night. It's like, how much faster do you need to go? Well, obviously, it's always a work in progress. There's always more speed to find. Freddie Slater proving that. Really interesting to hear there Noah Lyle saying that, no, they were running different tyres from yesterday. So just clearly struggling a little bit on speed late on, or maybe he's trying to throw the wool over the eyes of everyone watching this broadcast, making sure not to give the game away when it comes into that third race a little bit later on this afternoon. Of course, it's going to be a bit of a frantic one. It's going to be a very exciting one. It is the same race distance as to what we had in this one, so it'll be 12 laps in that third and fourth. It was Abby Pulling, though, defending from Patrick Huizenrode that was catching our attention. Squeezed out a little bit onto the grass in the battle for 7th position with Sherwood just working his way up in the background. Of course, the number 12 there being the battle for third position. It was Nikita Johnson just trying to keep the 2 Rodins at bay behind. Alex Ninovic losing out to Marco Prado. And Prado was able to go straight through into 4th position. This was the penultimate lap of the race. Dion Gowda down the inside of Al-Azhari, a bit of a lock-up and straight up and over the rear end. And the race victory margin wouldn't look as big as it really should do, because Freddie Slater absolutely dominated that one to take his 2nd victory of the season. A superb performance once more from Freddie Slater. And again, the margin was 8 seconds at one point, but it got dragged its way down to not look super insane as Noah Lyle would finish 7/10 behind after the safety car. And Nikita Johnson into 3rd position. We already caught up with those 3. And then it's Prado, Ninovic, then Darianani. Under investigation still for weaving. That one will be dealt with by race control post-race. Abby Pulling in 7th position after dropping back from 6th. Pat Huizenrode in 8th position with Flusha and Kanato lead the top 10. Outside of the top 10, it's Yamakoshi for hill speed, and Siwuthan finishing in a 12th position with Shui in 13th. Started on the same row of the grid as Schwarzer, and they basically finished in the same place. Deacon Fairclough started from the rear of the field and worked his way up to 15th position, with Tarvanikul finishing in 16th position with Abrahams, then Nanton, Bostangiev, and Flynn Jacks finishing in a 20th position. Those finishing behind that is Bustamante, Sherwood and McIntyre, who had to obviously drop down after stalling on the grid. Al-Azhari and Gowda involved in that incident late on in the race, scoring nothing, finishing 3 laps down. A big shame for those 2. And our first incident, really, of 2025, though. Let's head down, though, to Piers, who's catching up with Kai Darianani.
Thanks very much, Lewis. Yep, down here with some of the reaction. I do have Kai Darianani, and I grabbed Kai because he looked like he was right at the front of that massive battle of cars. You soaked up a lot of pressure in that one, Kai.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't really easy, to be honest, because we had quite poor tyres, to be honest. So yeah, grip was basically none, and so the whole race I was just kind of kind of looking in my mirrors kind of thing. But yeah, I think it was a decent race overall considering everything.
You had a good start, made up a couple of places on that first lap. That was crucial for your race, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the good start I think definitely set me up for a decent race, because I knew I wouldn't really be able to attack with the grip that I had. So yeah.
You mentioned not quite as much tyre grip. Is that a bit of cheeky tactics in terms of race number 3?
Just a little, yeah, just a touch.
Okay, I won't go any further with that. I'll leave that to you and your team. I'm going to let you go now, Kai, and get ready for race number 3 later on. I'm going to grab in Gianmarco Pradel, who's kicking around over here. Come this side for me, mate. I've only got short arms. I can't cross over. Gianmarco, how was that race from your perspective?
Yeah, it was decent. I mean, start, again, not optimal, but then after that, just settle into a rhythm, and then towards the end, I was going off like a cut snake, so it was really, really good.
That's an Australian term there.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, pretty happy with it. Really happy with the pace at the end. So we've got a lot to show in race 3, and hopefully it'll just be onwards and upwards from here.
You and your teammate Alex were pretty much inseparable in race 1 and in race 2. You caught up to the back of Noah in that one. A nice move on your teammate as well to get the Rodin honours in that one.
Yeah. I mean, decent. It was a move. So yeah, it would have been really good to try to get into that tussle at the end, but unfortunately the safety car cut that short. So yeah, we're going to need to go again in race 3, and yeah, see how it pans out.
Let's have a look into race 3 now. Do you know where you're starting? Do you know what your plan's going to be?
Pretty sure I'm starting 9th, if I'm correct. But yeah, plan's just going to be, get into the race, make sure that I maximise the start, because it looks like the left side of the grid is slightly more grippy than the right side. And then after that, just try to make move on move. And then let's see, maybe we'll get up onto the podium.
We've seen a couple of tasty moves already, and we'll look forward to seeing that in race 3. Thanks very much, Gianmarco. We'll leave you to it, and I'm going to grab Kanato Lee for our final interview. Kanato, quick chat on your race. Good battle with your teammates and other drivers around you.
Yeah, it was good racing. It was tough, but yeah, it was really nice to be able to do some racing and gain some position.
And race 3, what are you looking ahead to?
Yeah, race 3, obviously reverse grid. It's going to be a lot of carnage, I think, but I think just keep it calm and then just overtake and try to finish in. I think like top 5 would be good.
Great to have you back in the championship. Kanata, we'll let you go and cool off after what was a heated race number 2. It's definitely getting warmer out here.
Yeah, it is, and there's a lot of people here, which is very, very nice to see, and I'm sure you're going to go and find what was going on there and speak to some of the drivers that were involved in that little incident as well. But that was the second race of the weekend, and we've got loads more to look forward to across the weekend here at Silverstone, starting, of course, with the next GB4 race that's coming up very, very soon. GB3 race 3, the reverse grid race, is at 3:45. GB4 then, of course, coming up at 11:11. That's the second race, so that's a full proper grid, and then we have the reverse GB4 grid at 5:49 p.m. and with those races, that's the race start time, so make sure you're ready around about half an hour before that for the start of the show, as we'll build up and chat to some of the drivers ahead of those races. The cars going past us now back into their awnings, and we'll be back very, very soon, so stay exactly where you are as we race for the second time this weekend in the GB4 Championship.